All right. How's it going, Chris?
Going well, Peyton. Glad to be back for episode 2 of the live show.
Yeah, man. It's exciting. It's exciting. We got a jam-packed show for you guys. How's your week been going, Chris? Looks like you're in a what is that, a monastery?
Not a monastery, but yes, this is a new living space. As you can see, the walls are not quite decorated yet. Still in the process. I got a nice D-Lo poster hanging right in front of me right now over the desk, but might have to place that like back there and then like put my Timberwolves playoff flags right there. Like, you think that'd be good for the podcast? I think that'd look nice.
I don't know. I think sometimes you see like these heavily decorated sports people coming on the shows. They got all their trophies in the back, all their signed memorabilia. And I love how you just have the cross and the fire alarm back there. It's really setting the tone for what you're going to be bringing to the table.
Shows you my priorities, man.
All right, so I mean, let's just get right into it because we can, because we want to keep this quick, this short. So, Howling at the Mic, episode 2. First topic, Chris. I want to start off with saying, sorry, let me get this.
Got some technical difficulties
No,
in
not
episode 2 here.
not technical difficulty. I just want to get it right. So, first of all, I want to say thank you to Patrick Beverley for the time he put in Minnesota, and he wasn't here long, but the impact that he made is going to last a lot longer than I think even he's in the NBA. He changed the culture here, and the whole podcast, the whole entity, we wish him the best of luck in LA. So
Yeah, no doubt, man.
so getting into the question, Chris, who is going to step up and be the next emotional leader for the Timberwolves in Pat Bev's place next year?
Yeah, this is a good question. I think there's a variety of voices in the locker room that can kind of fill in this part. Emotionally, I don't think there's really anyone that can fill in for Pat Bev's vocality and physicality and just being a dog like that. Ant would be kind of the lead, dog in that position. But honestly, I'm gonna go Kyle Anderson, and here's why. I don't think he has like the head that Pat Beverley has on him, but I think he's kind of got that glue mentality of Pat Beverley to keep the team together when things are getting rough. He's always been that type of guy. I feel like he was always the guy that was always calm, cool, collected when Memphis was, going down big against the Timberwolves. I think Kyle Anderson's going to be the glue guy, the Pat Bev guy, and just an awesome locker room guy.
All right, I'll get to my refute on that. But so for me, when I hear that question, I think the first answer will usually goes to Ant because he's the best player on the team. He's got the most expressive personality. Like he kind of mirrors Pat Bev in that way. Last year, we really saw him kind of taking after Pat Bev in the way he was acting. But the cons with that is he's not really a veteran. He doesn't have much playoff experience, which Pat Bev had a lot, and I think that really helped him change the culture. So I don't know if Ant really is the next Pat Bev. The other options would be you go to your next two players besides Gobert, which I completely forgot about for some reason. D'Lo and Cat. They're veterans. They've been with the team there for a long time. But the cons with that is, I mean, they've been in this position before and they've never really stepped up as a leader. So I think my answer is that we don't necessarily need the next Pat Bev. I think that with the impact that he made on the team, I think he changed every player just a little bit for the better, and I think that overwhelming effect is going to change our team. I don't really think we need that new Pat Bev, that new like just crazy mentality. I don't think we need that.
No, I agree. Having some slight technical difficulties, everyone here. I can't see the screen, but I think I'm still talking. I think I'm still interacting. So
you can't see the screen? What's going on?
No, I'm having a black screen right now. It's all good. I can hear you. I'm still talking. But I think another guy that I think is going to be a future Pat Beverley, and I don't know if you can see this already. I think Josh Minot. Keep that name in the back of your head when thinking about Pat Beverley in the next 3-4 years. I think Minot, if you guys have ever watched him play, is just super aggressive. I think he's a big talker too. If you watched him in the summer league, everything about that guy is just kind of screams like really young Patrick Beverley to me. And I think he's even more talented than Beverley, and I think he might even chirp more than Beverley. So I mean, I think that's going to be a great comp for the future.
Yeah, another option, I mean, that we're thinking is, what about Gobert? I feel like he might be quiet, but he could really, because Patrick Beverley, what really was, he was just a veteran leader. He was very vocal, very loud, but he was just a veteran leader with playoff experience. So, I mean, you bring in Rudy Gobert, and I think he can kind of fill those shoes. And you can have kind of a combination of multiple players picking up where Pat Bev left off. You have Ant with the keeping everybody accountable at practice. You have Gobert with the playoff experience. So I think that's actually probably a better option. But Pat Bev, man, he was phenomenal in the 1 year that he was here. And like I said, I think he really changed our culture for the better. And it's something that I don't think will be reversed easily.
No, it really will not. This is a tough issue right now, man. I'm just looking at a black screen.
The thing is, we can see you completely fine. You look like an idiot because you look like you can't see anything, but just pretend like you're looking right at the screen.
Yeah, it's okay. I can play through injury.
I would hope so. But yeah, another thing, like I think Pat Bev on all the every practice you hear that he would bring it every practice, and it would just step up the intensity for everyone else. I think that even taking him out of that equation, I don't think guys are going to go back down to the level of not practicing hard. I think it's just something that once you do it, once you see the results, I think it just impacts the whole organization for the long term. And I don't know. I'm curious to see.
Like you were saying earlier, I think you get 1 year of Patrick Beverley, and I think even if you don't get to retain him for that next year, I think that mentality hopefully will carry along with this team. And I mean, you just hope that he instilled some of this knowledge and some of this, aggressive type of play in some of these stars on this team that, can keep that culture alive and keep passing down the torch.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge loss to the team, but I really think that it was worth it. And I think it might not be the end of Pat Bev in Minnesota. Maybe he'll come back as a coach. Maybe he'll come back as a vet and on a vet min. But I think we could see Pat Bev coming back to Minnesota. All right. So I think next we should go into some important Timberwolves news. Taurean Prince was arrested last week. 5 or 6 days ago. He was arrested in Miami. Let me read an excerpt from an article from TMZ. So that's how you know it's going to be the best news. Minnesota Timberwolves Taurean Prince is being held on no bond due to a charge involving dangerous drugs following an arrest in Miami on Thursday night, according to police documents via TMZ. So Oh, now we lost him. Oh, no, you're back. You're back.
Oh, man. Keep reading. I'm good.
Yeah, so at the initial traffic stop, police pulled Prince over for an expired registration, but they found 2 handguns, a vape pen with THC, and a canister containing marijuana during the search. The police charged Prince with unlawful carrying of a weapon, possessions of marijuana, and possession of a controlled substance, but couldn't get the warrant until now after awaiting results from what was in the vape pen. And it turns out that there was 1/100th of an ounce of THC, which is probably the smallest amount you can have. So
Yeah,
what's
1/100th seems pretty small.
So what's your initial reaction to that news, Chris?
I mean, initial reaction is I was looking on Twitter and I saw Taurean Prince got arrested at the airport when he had a warrant out for his arrest. Yeah, I mean, because when I saw it on Twitter, they talked about him having, I think Texas classifies like THC as a dangerous drug. So I thought Taurean Prince was in a lot more trouble than he really was. So, I mean, luckily now I don't think it's too big of a deal. I think they'll solve this and there'll be no issue. But at first, I was pretty scared. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, it really just the way that, I don't know how, if it was Texas who worded it crazy, but I don't know. When you say dangerous drugs, like, I know marijuana, some people have different opinions on it. It's legal in some states, blah, blah, blah. But I think we've gotten to a point as a society where I would not classify that as a dangerous drug. When you say dangerous drugs, I think heroin, meth, cocaine maybe. But, like, so yeah, once that original headline came out, I was like, wow, Taurean Prince. I was thinking he's going to step up, be a leader of this team, and now he's going to be gone. So, I mean, it's just crazy how the wording of the headline can really skew what actually happened.
Yeah, I guess I don't know too much about how the judicial system in Texas works and all their laws, but from all accounts, it seems like Taurean will be fine. He was already released from jail, I think, like 24 hours after. Should be, the case should be under wraps after the lawyers get a look at it. So should be good. I don't think there'll be any, roadblocks for Taurean here until the start of the season. I think he is a really important, piece to this puzzle. As you said, he brings, I don't know, he's not the oldest tenured player on the roster, but he could be top 3. I think he's like 28 years old. No, he's got to be around 27, 28. But yeah, he's I would consider him one of the vets on the team. And we need Taurean around, need that shooting that really popped up at the end of the year, actually.
Yeah, he really skyrocketed at the end of the year. I don't know. I mean, he might get a little suspension, but the NBA doesn't even test for weed anymore. So I don't think that they will. I mean, he might get a fine, but I don't think it's going to affect his season much at all.
No. You remember the Caruso thing where Caruso took like weed on a plane or something like that? I don't think Caruso got any game suspension either. So
Caruso. Classic Caruso, huh?
Classic Caruso. And my screen's back. Hallelujah. I can see myself on the screen. This is great. I was probably just sitting here like an idiot for 15 minutes, but that's okay.
That's part of the thing. That's part of the allure of this podcast is, sometimes it goes well, sometimes it goes extremely south. So
it's live. You gotta just stick with it and stick with the plan. Show goes on.
The show goes on. I think we're gonna jump right into the next topic, Chris, which is a debate topic, and it's debate me versus you. Go back here on the timer.
Yeah, for reference here, everyone, Peyton has 2 pages of notes with him today. He's prepared. I'm sure he's gonna absolutely just dog me in this debate. I'm excited for this one though.
No, see, the thing is, I'm actually, if you guys haven't noticed, I'm kind of stumbling over my words because I'm trying to read these notes, but the truth of it is, I don't need notes. Like, I just gotta go with my guts. I mean, I gotta look up there for the stats, but I can't be reading off because it's distracting me. Honestly, I don't have the greatest attention span, so it's hard to do all this at once. So Chris, the official question is: you are the GM of a team, and actually, let's go first. Me and Chris are in this group chat on Instagram. What's the group chat called? Let's give him a shout out.
No clue. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I will say there's some great debates in there. Next time I see it, we'll shout you out on the podcast. I think I've looked in there a couple times, but it was a great subject, the first one that I saw come up, and I said it to Peyton, and we're both kind of like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
that's kind of a fun debate.
So the question we came up with was, you are the GM of a team starting from scratch. The first position you have to fill is point guard. With an empty roster, so this is the first player you add, would you take D'Lo or Westbrook? Chris, I'm gonna let you go first.
Well, I certainly believe this is a fairly easy question if we're talking about, you know, players right now and for the future. So I think if you're talking about, building for the future, I'm a GM. I get to fill out my point guard spot first. I'm going with D'Lo immediately, and there's a few reasons why. And the first reason is D'Lo is on an expiring contract, and he's getting paid only, I believe, 31-ish million. And then you got Russell Westbrook, on the other hand, who's 33 years old, who is going to be making in the 40 millions. And obviously his play and his turnover ratio did not really, contribute to him making $44 million. I think it's fairly easy, that I think with D'Lo here, I know I'm going to get a pretty decent season out of him because he's going to be, he's on an expiring contract. He's going to give me some really good play. I can re-sign him for probably less than I would even I don't know how much I don't know if Russell's going to retire next year. We don't know anything about Russell Westbrook. So I know I'm getting D'Lo. He's only 26 years old, going on 27. I'm going to sign him to a lesser extension. I know he's going to give me a good year, at least this year, on the expiring contract. That's my answer. But the other angle I wanted to take from this is if we're just talking about this season with kind of a bunch of scrubs around the team, like this point guard is the main focus of the team. In this scenario, if it was for one season, point guard, the main focus of the team, I would go with Russell Westbrook. And there's a reason for this. It's because he did this after KD left in OKC, no Paul George, no Carmelo. Russ kind of just took reins of that team and was able to take, maybe it wasn't a horrible roster, but Russ is the main focal point, is a really good player. I mean, you're going to get the high turnovers. You're going to get the low efficiency. But Russ, especially prime MVP Russ, he's taking you to those playoffs by himself.
All right. I actually agree with what you're saying there, Chris. My initial reaction was I think it really depends what kind of team, what kind of GM, what kind of team you're trying to build around, what the other picks you're going to have. If you're going to end up getting a team like the Lakers with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, then I'm not taking Russell Westbrook. But if it's a rebuild scenario and you got to get Russell Westbrook, I mean, I would love to have Russell Westbrook. In 2020, Chris, he averaged 22 points, 11 assists, and 11 rebounds. He averaged a triple-double just two seasons ago. So if you're going to build your team around him, maybe not long-term, but just for a few seasons to get your team off the ground, I would take Russell Westbrook over D'Angelo Russell just because he affects all aspects of the game. I think D'Lo, we've seen it, Chris. We've seen D'Angelo Russell when he's asked to lead the team. Sometimes it's just a lot of poor shots, poor shot selection. I think the thing with D'Lo this year is if he's going to be successful on this Timberwolves team, he needs to take less contested shots and get more assists. I think it's pretty simple. So I don't know. I don't have a direct answer for it. I think we should have wrote the question better on what kind of team you're building for.
Yeah, if that's the wording of the question, just D'Lo or Russ, I'm going D'Lo. Just because I know what I'm getting with D'Lo this next season, whereas with Russ, I have no clue if he's going to decline from this past year. I have no clue if he's going to bounce back. I have no clue what Russell Westbrook is.
But if he bounces back next year, and I mean, I feel like he's in a tough spot to bounce back with the Lakers. He's the wrong team.
He's in a horrific situation.
He's on the wrong team. That's the problem. I think if Russell Westbrook goes to your team that you're making, and he has a roster full of rookies and G League guys with him, I think he could go back to averaging triple-double. Russell Westbrook is severely underrated, I think. I think he's overhated and underrated. People love to hate Russell Westbrook when he really just had one bad season, and he was getting attacked in L.A.
I mean, yeah, when you're with LeBron, you got to be able to play. You got to be able to be an off-ball player, and I think those two's play styles just do not fit well together, but I will give Russ this. His availability was his best ability last year. He was the only Laker that was really always in the game. I mean, he was the only one that wasn't injured. He was the one that was contributing night in, night out, whether those stats were good or they were not. At least Russ was there. But yeah, I don't know. This is going to be a big, big season for Russ. This is his last. He took the big player option of 40 million. This is it. He's got to try to buy himself another contract here.
Yeah, and one last thing, one final thing here is, I think if this question, if they were going in the group chat, if it's for the Timberwolves, which player would you rather take? I think we both would take D'Lo hands down, because Russell Westbrook on the Timberwolves would be one of the worst. It would be a horrible fit, I think.
Oh, terrible.
Just a horrible fit. And D'Lo, I don't know if he is the best fit at point guard for the Wolves right now, but I think he is a far better option for the Timberwolves.
Much agreed.
So next, D Wade was on the Iguodala. What's his podcast called? The Point Forward. He was on the Point Forward podcast. Is Iguodala and Evan Turner's podcast, and D Wade was joining them. And Iggy had this quote to say about Ant after he said that Ant's height is false, and he's really only like 6'4", not 6'6", 6'7", like people say. He said, "The kid came at me full speed one time, and he did it an in and out. There was absolutely nothing I could do. I'm like, if it's time for me to wrap it up, this kid, and I'm like, it's time for me to wrap it up. This kid, he's different. He's like when you can change those directions, and he can split pick and rolls, and then he's explosive coming out of it. It's insane. All he needs 2 months in Miami, and it's over with." So yeah. People love to take that quote out of context, saying that Iggy's trying to get Ant to go to the Heat this year, blah blah blah. What did you think of that quote when you saw
it? I mean, I don't know. I feel like it'd be, if he did go to the Heat, I just feel like that's a terrible situation for him. Like, first of all, the Timberwolves own the Heat. I mean, I think him and Jimmy Butler are going to develop a little rivalry here. But, that Heat team, you know what? Maybe we're Wolves fans looking at this. Maybe some Heat culture would be good for him. Playing next to Jimmy Buckets, playing next to Lowry, Bam, Hero as the sixth man. I don't know. I don't know what that Heat team would look like. Would that Heat team win the finals? I'm not too sure. I guess you got Pat Riley down there. You got Spoelstra. I'm sure Wade would be helping out with the development. I mean,
it's a lot more of a winning culture than you have in Minnesota. I think the question is, can Ant still become an all-time great player if he plays out his whole career in Minnesota? Or does he need to go somewhere with that already winning culture put in? I think that's kind of the question that, first of all, I love the high praise from these NBA legends. Honestly, D Wade is an NBA legend. Iggy, yeah, you could say what you want about him, but he's a well-known NBA player. For them to have that high praise is impressive.
Let me hit you with this. So you just asked, can he become an all-time great player by playing out his whole career in Minnesota? It's something we've never seen before, and this is why. Kevin Garnett was an MVP with the Minnesota Timberwolves, but what did he have to do to solidify his status as a top player of all time? He had to go win that ring. He had to go win that ring with Boston. So it would be a first if Ant solidified. There has been no great Timberwolves player that has ended there's been no Dirk. There's been no Tim Duncan. I know D Wade took a couple stops, but there's been no D Wade. There's been no guy like that in Timberwolves history. So I think it'd be cool. I think it is possible. But they need to win a ring. I mean, in order for you can't be considered an all-time great and don't have a ring. So it would most likely have to happen in the next 4 years here, 4 or 5 years.
At least the first one, yeah. And I think another way to look at this is, I mean, a lot of people like to say Ant's the next Michael Jordan, he's the next MJ. People have said that. Look at MJ. When he came into Chicago, they were not a great team. He turned that around. He was what turned them in to the winning culture. I think if Anthony Edwards is going to be that all-time great and he can do it in Minnesota, he's the type of guy that can do it in Minnesota. He's the type of guy that can turn it around. And also, just look at our new coach, new president of basketball operations. We're putting together a winning culture here. And you even with little things like Pat Bev, like you got to put all that into the equation. That I don't know. I think he can stick around and still become an all-time great if he has what it takes to be an all-time great. If that sentence makes any sense.
Yeah, you could look at it, not comparing him to MJ, but you could look at MJ's first 6 years in the league, 5 or 6, first 5 years. What MJ? There's 2 eras of MJ, actually 3. You have the 80s MJ, which is, you could compare this right now to Ant. You got the 80s MJ, super athletic, got the shit kicked out of him by Pistons, Celtics, whatever. He was getting killed in the East because he didn't have any help. Transitioning from Jordan to 90 to 93, Jordan got a little help. What happened? 3-peat. Bang. Right. Jordan goes and retires. Into the third part of his career, comes back to, well, I guess you have to consider the Warriors, the 2016 Warriors, the greatest team of all time, but comes back to maybe a possible contender of the greatest team of all time. And then from 96 to 99, what happens? He wins 3 more rings. So, I mean, there's different parts of people's careers. And I think hopefully MJ could be you'd want him to win early in his career, but it can happen like that. I mean, people wouldn't validate MJ until he won that ring, and he needed some help to do that. So.
For sure. And also, when MJ in the 80s in that first part of his career, how old was he, Chris? I think, what was he, 3 or 4 years older than Ant is already? So, I mean, how old was MJ when he got drafted?
Well, he was a junior, so I think he was 22. No,
whatever
21.
He was.
Yeah, he was in his 20s when he was drafted.
Yeah, so Ant's coming into that age right now, and he's already had 2 full NBA seasons. So, I mean, We're talking about the Wolves future. We're talking about what is your record prediction for the 2022-2023 season?
Yeah, so if you guys are betting people, by the way, the over-under for the Wolves right now is at 47.5. Please go hammer the over on that. You guys will win so much money because this team, even if one person goes down, you have Gobert on it. And what does Gobert do? He gets 50-win seasons. I'm going 55 and 22 for this Timberwolves team, the 2022-2023 Timberwolves. I promise you they will win over 50 games. I promise.
Wait. 55 and 22?
55 and 27. My bad. 55 and 27. I had the number in my head. I was calculating it. 55 and 27. 55 and 27. I swear to you, they're going to win over 50 games.
So 55. So that in the Western, 55 wins in this hard West. That's a lot.
That puts you in the 2nd or 3rd seed.
2nd or 3rd. So that's, you really have them 2 or 3 seed.
They're going to be a beast of a regular season team.
All right. That's a very aggressive. So what was the over under in Vegas?
47.5 wins.
47. Okay, so I'm a little bit above that. So Bleacher Report had them at 54 and 28, finishing 4th in the West. Last year they were 46 and 36. I got them coming in.
How much better this team gets.
I got them coming in 52 and 32, which also does that add up?
No. 52. So it would be 52 and 30.
52 and 30. That was actually a typo. I swear I had that. I know I had that. So 52 and 30. I got them finishing 4th in the West, behind only the Warriors, Suns, Clippers, and Nuggets. I still think we can add 6 wins.
So you got them 5th in the West.
I got them 5th in the West. Behind. Actually, no. I got them 4th in the West, behind only the Warriors, Suns, and Clippers. And I got to quit reading the document because it's making me sound like an idiot.
You're tripping right here.
It's all right, man. It's the first week of school. My brain's already fried. Trying to get this podcast on today was hard for me for some reason. But, all right, so I got 52 and 30, and you had 55 and
27.
And 27. Okay, so we're on the same point.
Leave a comment below for your record prediction.
Right, and what do we do if one of us gets it correct? Because we can easily come back to this video.
Yeah, well, let us think about that. We'll think about something cool we can do if you get it right by the end of the year. We'll do something. Maybe you can hop in and watch some of a playoff game stream or something like that. It'll be, yeah, I think we do something like that. Maybe a giveaway or something. We'll have to think about it.
We'll have to think about it. So who do you have finishing above the Wolves this year?
Yeah, I guess I didn't line up everyone's prediction in the West. I just did ours. I would say we would be around a 3 seed if we won 55, just because I think the West is stacked. I think the two teams that come above them regular season wise are, I believe, the Grizzlies and the Warriors. I think the Suns are going to take a little drop here. I think they'll be fourth or fifth in the West.
Really? So you still have the Grizzlies over the Wolves, even after the additions we've made, and they haven't really made much.
The Grizzlies will be a good regular season team this year, I think.
All right, and yeah, I think the exact opposite. I think the Clippers are going to be a surprise.
See,
I love the Clippers.
I like the Clippers too. It's just they're going to be a playoff team. They're going to have some injuries, and they're going to have some resting for Kawhi and Paul George. They're going to be a team that's just they're going to get in at a mid-level seed and be a hard out at a 4 or 5, I think.
They're going to be the team you don't want to have to play in the first round. Yeah, they're going to be demons in the West. But yeah, so what did Vegas have us at again?
47.5.
So that's only one more win than we had last year.
2. 1.5. Yeah, 2.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
It is pretty wild how that was construct. I'm trying to think because like top to bottom, I honestly think our bench got deeper. I guess quality of the bench, you could argue that last year's quality could be better, but we're 100% a deeper bench this year. We got so much talent coming in on training camps, exhibit 10s. I don't know, man. I think this bench is even going to be better than last year's too. And I think people like Jalen Noel and I think Wendell is going to really help. You still have Nas, J-Mac.
Dude, I completely forgot about Jalen Noel. Like I keep forgetting about these guys on the bench.
We'll have to have a Jalen Noel stat line prediction for next live stream. I think that'd be a good.
It's because it's so out there. Like he could be the sixth man of the year, or he could just be at the bottom of the bench, which kind of what happened to him at the beginning of last year, which I could see happening. Like I really don't know. The final topic I want to get into, Chris, is your expectations for D'Lo. We've already kind of touched on him this podcast. And the overarching question, do you think he'll average more points than Rudy Gobert?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think there's multiple ways you could look at this. So D'Lo obviously in his career is a higher point per game player than Rudy Gobert. But D'Lo oftentimes gets those high point per game or higher point per game totals because he's often the main source of offense on those teams. And Rudy Gobert is, I think career-wise is around 13 points per game or something like that.
Yeah, he's like 15 in the last 4 seasons.
He's 15 in the last 15. 4 seasons. Yeah, so drastically lower than D'Lo's 19, 20-ish. But hot take, I think D'Lo's going to be more of a passer this year. He's going to average 8-9 assists a game. D'Lo's going to be sitting around 14 points per game, 14.7 points per game. Gobert will be sitting at 15 points per game, narrowly edging out D'Lo, but very close.
All right. See, this was something I had a lot of trouble with because exactly what you said. I think D'Lo, he's going to have a better season than he had last year, but I think he's going to average significantly less points because if he helps out the team in the way that he should, he's not going to be needed to score 20 points. We want him scoring 15 points, 10 assists would be a dreamlike season for D'Lo, and hopefully we can extend him with those numbers. But you also look at Gobert. I mean, he's only averaged about 15 in the last 4 seasons, and you don't know how he's going to play with Cat. I think he's going to get a lot of easy buckets, but we also have Cat and Ant on the team. They're both going to be hopefully getting around 25 points a game. So my final prediction was I think Gobert is going to go down to about 13. And I could see D'Lo averaging about 15. So I still think D'Lo is going to average more points than him, but I think they both are going to average less. But I still think that's not going to be a way to judge their season. I think if they both go down, it's probably going to help. It's going to be a better season for them.
I think if D'Lo 100% scores less points on better efficiency, that means we had a really good season with more with him with more assists too. If D'Lo's shooting, Lord, I don't know, like low 40s, high 30s, 22 points per game. That's how you know the season was probably a disaster.
Like, dude, I think we forget how sometimes when D'Lo is playing, it's hard to watch. Like what D'Lo will have those games here and there where it's just tough to watch. He forces up a lot of shots, and that's a reason why so many people cannot stand D'Angelo Russell. So he needs to go back to his like Ohio State days where he was a pass first player, and I think that can really elevate his game. It's an interesting question you brought up. Is he going to average more than Gobert? Because you texted me that. I'm like, it's a very interesting question.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at a factor of things with Gobert too on why his points were down. There's obviously the big conversation within the Jazz community too that oftentimes you'll see these clips of Rudy Gobert being wide open or having a favorable matchup, and Donovan Mitchell will not pass him the ball. I don't know what it is. I think Gobert, for some reason, was like a third or fourth offensive option on that team. I mean, I would argue fourth or fifth, just because I think you have Donovan Mitchell, Clarkson, Bogdanovich, Ingles at that point. Gobert wasn't even like a focal point of the offense. His points kind of just came off more so like either missed opportunities for others or granted opportunities to him from others. Like Gobert never got to create his own offense. I think Finch is going to create some stuff, and I think Gobert will see maybe an uptick in different things, like we were talking about the podcast, like Cat and Gobert screen and rolls, Gobert handling the ball up top, like just random things you think you're not going to see with Finch. I'm sure you'll see. So
yeah, and I also think D'Lo can contribute to Gobert averaging more points if he can find him on the pick and rolls with a little lob down, which you've already seen. I've seen clips of Noel practicing the lob to a big man, so I could see that contributing to Gobert adding more points. I think you can't really like judge any of these players right now because we just don't know what the offense is going to look like. We just don't know what Finch has in mind because it could go either way. We forget how many weapons we have on the bench. Like a Noel.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, Noel hopefully is going to be lethal for us this year. I mean, you kind of want him to fill into that Jordan.
That's a tough look. Looks like Chris has exited the chat. I don't even know what's going on here. But yeah, I mean, we had 14 seconds left in that one, so I think I'll just transition. I'm gonna keep Chris up in the screen right now, just because it's hilarious. But so yeah, thank you guys for watching. This show is just right at the beginning right now. We have a lot we need to polish. We have a lot we need to work on. But I mean, I feel like it's the start of something that's gonna be around for a long time, and I'm really enjoying doing it. So make sure to comment, guys. And there I am twice. So that's how it works, guys. If you were wondering. But yeah, make sure to comment some thoughts if you guys have any ideas on how to make this better. But really appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to comment. Make sure to like, and we'll see you guys later. All right, I ended it.